Welcome to the Cleaning in Motion Show, a podcast interviewing successful cleaning business owners to hear what they're doing that works and what they've tried that's failed, all to help you grow your business. And now, on to the show.
Welcome to the Cleaning in Motion Show, the go-to podcast for insights into the commercial cleaning and facility management industries. In this episode, we dive deep into the commercial cleaning industry, exploring the path from startup to scaling beyond your wildest dream. Today, we're thrilled to have Adam Povlitz, CEO of Anago Cleaning Systems, a titan in the franchise world. Adam brings a wealth of knowledge from transforming a family business into commercial cleaning powerhouse. So get ready for this episode packed with invaluable insights on growth, innovation, and the power of a visionary leader style tailored to the cleaning industry. So welcome, Adam. Happy to have you here. And I would love to start by you telling us a little bit the story behind Anago. Our audience is very familiar with the brand, but I don't think people are aware of the backstory, So we'd love to hear it from you. And let's get started.
Sure. So, hey, Samuel. Hi. That was a great introduction. That was more than enough. Anago is actually it's a 35-year-old company now, founded in 1989 by my father. He originally had worked with his brothers, my uncles, I'm originally from Michigan, so he worked in Michigan. They were in a traditional cleaning business, self-perform, had a huge staff, hundreds of people, and we're doing really well. And the short version is my grandmother moved down to Florida, for the weather improvement from Michigan. We went down to visit, and my dad said, the weather here, I mean, I'm allowed to hate on Michigan a little bit. I'm from there, but he goes, the number of days that it's a blue sky in Florida versus Michigan, because Michigan is you get the lake effect. You have that gray sky thing all the time. Because the number of days of blue skies in Florida just blew my mind, and I was like, I gotta go. So he moved us. I was just a kid, moved us to South Florida, and actually worked for one of what would still be considered a competitor of Anago's for a very brief period. They were in franchising, and he said, listen, I understand cleaning, I understand the sales extremely well. He actually asked to be in charge of all of their inside sales plan. They declined, and he resigned. And it was kind of the rest is history. Several months later, he founded Anago, and it originally just started we didn't have the 3-tier model that we are today, which I'll get into later, but it was just the local South Florida location that was owned by my dad, and he began selling the clients himself, cleaning them a little bit himself until they've first sold their first unit franchisee. And the first unit franchisee wasn't even sold until 1991. And then they got into master franchising a few times and weren't successful in the mid-90s, but then ultimately in 1999 sold the first master franchise in Tampa, Florida. And since then, now we have 48 master franchises across the US and Canada and 1,800 unit franchisees. So it is exploded forward, but started from I think there's a story, and I'll have to ask my sister, but I believe there's a story where my dad, there was one time where he couldn't make payroll when he first started and literally mortgaged his truck to make it happen. I mean, that's the type of person he was. And so, the true entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur, always coming up with new ideas and willing to risk it all. Very, very cool story.
No, that's amazing. I think only 35 years to build this little empire that it's only growing. It's an insane timing, So when did you come into the business? Tell us a little bit about your journey from operating in certain areas to becoming the CEO?
Yeah, so I didn't come in until 2009. So fast forward 20 years after the business started. I was, I was always kind of a go it on your own person. I never wanted to be part of the quote unquote family business. I had my own path and my own, at least I thought I did. And then I was actually in corporate finance. I was at IBM. And during the 08, 09 recession, there was a big wave of layoffs. I wasn't laid off. I was actually on one of the teams who was doing the financial review of who was going to be laid off essentially. I mean, it was, and so, think about it's like first major career out of school, and I don't have names, I have employee numbers, and it's purely like a just cold calculation that we turn into management, and they make the decisions with people's lives. And it like was like a punch to the chest. I was going like, what? Very easily could have been on the other side of that, and for me, I decided, okay, maybe this, the big Fortune 100 company route isn't for me, because I don't want to be an employee number. And so I happened to be down for the holidays. My dad said, "You got to check this Anago thing out. I think I got the tiger by the tail here." And it was about 6 months later that I ended up coming down. And then he said, "Okay, congratulations. You've left your highfalutin finance job, and your first job at Anago is you're going to be a telemarketer by day and a franchisee's assistant at night cleaning a daycare." So that was, I mean, literally, I would work for my 40 hours during the day. I would be at the office. I'd go in the bathroom, change into jeans and an Anago t-shirt, and then I'd go out to the account that I was cleaning. And that was that was how I started. But it was smart of him, because I learned every position. So I did that for a while. I moved into customer service, which we call, operations or brand management now. Did that. I did the outside sales. I sold some, worked with selling some unit franchises. And then ultimately, so this was maybe a year and a half into it. I moved to the corporate office, and then I started traveling the country. So here I am. I have financial experience. I have a year of experience, maybe 18 months of experience working in what we would call a master franchise or a regional office, doing the day-to-day work. I've done the cleaning, and then I'm kind of cast into the field, and it's okay, now go talk to these master franchise owners who have been with us for 10 years and know what they're doing, and you're the young kid. And so I had to approach the whole thing very much from a servant leadership approach of, hey, what can we do that will make it your day-to-day easier as a franchise owner? Because they knew more than me, I mean, admittedly. And so I think that is what has been, my path forward, is always taking the approach of, okay, so what else can we do to help our franchisees grow their businesses? Because at the end of the day, that's how we make our money. And it's funny, because it was 20, worked up through the ranks. It was 2015 when the former president was retiring, and I was being promoted to the president and CEO role. And he got me a business card holder, and it said PUDSOBIC. And I go, what the hell? Yeah, I'm like, that's not how you spell president. What is this? And he goes, he's a guy from West Virginia by way of Texas. So he said it with a real thick, thick country accent that I'm not even going to attempt here. But he says he goes, it stands for poor, unfortunate, dumb SOB in charge.
There you go. Welcome to the job.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, thank you, appreciate it.
No, that's an amazing journey, and I have to ask, how old are you? Because you do look like even younger than me. I'm 40 years old.
I am 39 still for another couple months.
Nice. I love that you have gone through basically every position in the cleaning industry, no? I guess what was one of the biggest lessons that you got when you were actually operating the commercial cleaning company, no? And that will lead me actually to my next question, that if today you quit your job and you decide that you're moving again to Michigan and you're starting your commercial cleaning business from scratch, no? Walk me a little bit to what would be the steps, including even the first hires, to become a seven-figure company in a couple of years?
Those are good questions. So biggest lessons, particularly when I was in the operating side, is I would say number one is perception matters more than reality sometimes. When you're in the cleaning business, some of our best franchisees, and even some of the times that I was cleaning buildings, half of it is about the relationship you make with the customer, and maybe more, and probably less than half of it is about how you actually clean the building. And so there's so much where if you're able to build a good rapport, good relationship with your customer, that they're going to allow for that occasional, missed trash can, or maybe something something didn't get wiped up or whatever it may be. But ultimately it's a people business, you're in the people business that happens to do cleaning, not in a cleaning business. You don't get extra points for, arranging the paper clips perfectly or something like that. You get extra points for the relationship. So that would be probably one of my biggest lessons, that you would think the opposite going in. Like the pristine buildings are the ones that keep the customers the longest, and it's not. It's the relationship. Now, if I was going to start a new one going forward, wow, if I was going to start a new cleaning business going forward completely, I mean, my first hire would be like a premier salesperson. At the end of the day, if it's a people business, number one, it's a sales business, number two. It really is. Like, frankly, it's probably like people and relationships, sales, um, some level of like customer service that hasn't been addressed already by the people part, and then cleaning, like in fourth place, is how I would
I love
probably
it. Yeah.
categorize the business. And so finding someone who's just an absolute, you know, savage at sales, someone who just is hungry, who wants to get out there every day. There's the old African proverb where they say, in Africa, every day on the savannah, the lion has to wake up in the morning and has to outrun the slowest gazelle, and the gazelles wake up in the morning and they know they have to outrun the fastest lion, but everybody wakes up running. And I love that quote, because I think that they should have said that about this business. I mean, it's a business where drive and hustle and grit are rewarded in spades. It's not a if you build it they will come. It's not Field of Dreams. It's get up every morning and be hungry, and that would be my first avenue to hire. And then in terms of scaling it, you mentioned, to scale, one thing I wish I had done sooner. Now, I came in and I had a pretty established team, but frankly, I was afraid to hire. I didn't know. You come in, you're a young guy on the team, and you go, who should I hire? Why should I hire them? How do I even interview these people that are supposed to know more than me? And I got a whole side story on that. I'm sure I could get into at some point, but I'll shut up now. But basically, I'm much more comfortable in the hiring place. I've probably hired, just in the last 2 years, I've probably hired personally like a dozen people, an entire marketing department, senior level people, chief strategy officer, COO, VP marketing, IT director. I mean, we've been on a little bit of a binge in the hiring space to really professionalize everything around here. And I don't know if I would have been able. I wish I would have understood what to do and learned how to do that earlier.
Nice. No, there is so much to unpack there. I love first about how you describe this business, no? Because it's definitely, and we have previous guests that they also mention and focus on the importance of building relationship with your customers, and not only be obsessed with the cleaning, which you should be, but even thought there are many cases that someone is obsessed with the cleaning, you do an amazing job, and still you lose the client because there wasn't a connection, there wasn't communication, there was anything, no? So you're hearing it directly from the CEO of Anago that 50% of the business is building that relationship, and the other 15% it's making sure that whatever you commit, you can deliver. In terms of I like your path because your path is something that I believe any unit franchise can relate and any master franchise can relate, no? In the sense that a lot of unit franchises, they just quit their job or they just go and venture into this business because they want independence, and you had enough of corporate world, so you come from the side of employment to get things into your own hands. But you also walk through all the major positions that that any commercial cleaning company should have, no? So you started by mentioning that we should first hire should be a beast, no? Someone in sales. One of the biggest mistakes that I see with a lot of our clients is that sales in this position can mean so many things. No, inside sales, outside sales. There are people that even just hire someone to do specials and focus on selling specials. And there is the definition of hiring a hunter versus a farmer. And a lot of commercial cleaning companies, in my opinion, they do the terrible mistake of hiring an army of sales. Most of those people are sitting in the office waiting for appointments. And if there is no appointments, they don't do anything. So can you be more specific of what type of sales profile would you look for a hire in a commercial cleaning company? And now that you touch also about the importance of hiring, and there's something that even me as a business owner, and we have a large team, but nobody ever teach you how to hire, no? And hiring the wrong person can be so costly that if you can throw any nuggets or tips on how to find people or how to hire or what you, Adam, looks, no, besides the skills, what do you look in a person before hiring? So first question is let's define the sales role and what skills they should have. Second is what do you look in these people? How do you hire? How do you find?
Yeah. Well, so you hit the nail on the head. There are definitely a lot of people who let me rephrase that. There definitely are a lot of different sales personalities. And I'm kind of mentally racking my brain and thinking about it. And if you think about the different sales personalities, there are what I would call your order taker, right? So you go to, I don't know, Burger King and you say, I'd like a Whopper with fries, and they take your order and you give them money. And technically, yeah, that made a sale, but that's an order taker salesperson. That's someone who's waiting for you to show up. Then you have your farmer, like you mentioned, where they're planting some seeds. They're maybe doing a little bit of, I don't know, social media work or dropping off, pamphlets and flyers, but they're not really going out and identifying like what is my ideal customer. Another person you have is what I would call a closer, where this person, they know how to talk the talk, they know how to walk the walk, but they don't want to do the work. And then lastly, you have what I would call a prospector.
And I think that's the most common one, no?
Yeah. And the other one is a prospector, right? And so that's someone who, they're going to do some farming, they're going to do some hunting, they're going to be driving down the street and go, I want to clean that building over there, and write down the address or the name of the company and do some research and find it out, because you can use LinkedIn and there's a million different tools, Google, Chrome add-ons and stuff where you can get names. There's all the lead lists and lead companies you can buy, where they're going to dig through it and are just unafraid to call and drop by, show up with a Starbucks or something for somebody, and just start working through. And I think all are valuable at various stages of growth. But I think initially the most important one is going to be your prospector, someone who's everybody, every friend, every building, every interaction is a possible sale in their mind. When you mature and you're able to expand your business, you need everyone, right? You need someone who's going to answer the phone and take an order for supplies or whatever it may be. You need someone who maybe they don't know how to prospect, but when you send them in, they close, 8 out of 10 deals. Okay, then that's your presentation person. But initially it's a prospector. It's all about prospector. And ultimately, that's the position that you have to have at the beginning, and it's the position you have to have at the end. That's how you fill the fat end of the funnel. And if the prospector isn't prospecting, so to speak, then there's nothing to close and no orders to take and no client base to farm if the prospector isn't prospecting. So I think that's the first and probably most valuable position to look for, or personality type to look for in sales.
Amen. Yeah, couldn't agree more. You have to have your calendar filled with appointments, and you need someone hungry enough that can build those relationships and make the calls, and make it happen. This is one of the, I wouldn't say few industries, but one of the industries where I think having an inside sales, a telemarketing, a cold caller, still crucial now for the success. And I love coming from you that you experienced that role. And we preach that every owner or every person that it's considering opening a commercial cleaning business, they should grab the phone and call. Even if
Yeah.
you don't book anything for the 3 months, it doesn't matter, just to live the experience. So then you have a little bit more knowledge on how to delegate work and so on.
Yeah,
And
we at Anago, so my first role when I was a telemarketer when I first started, I was terrible at it. I was terrified and terrible, and it took me a whole month to make 10 appointments. And this was, 15 years ago. So I mean, people still used to answer their phone versus now when it's all, robocalls or whatever. But 15 it took me a month to make 10 calls. And now literally in my call center that we have today, they call it the Adam rule to this day, that
yeah,
we tell someone when they're hired, like, listen, if you can't make at least as many appointments in the first 30 days as our CEO did when he first started, this might not be the job for you. You know what I mean? It's just, it's the Adam rule. You got to make 10. Most people aren't as bad as I am at it. So it's not the highest bar, but you got to pick up the phone. And it's crazy because you start talking to someone and your nerves just start firing and you're like, I don't know this person. I've never met them. I'm never going to see them probably. 9 out of 10 calls end up in a no thank you. And you're terrified. And it's like, wait a minute, why should I be afraid of this person? And when you start realizing that it's just, your body's natural fight or flight mechanism kicking in, and there's not actually anything to be afraid of, you go, okay, wait a minute. This isn't so bad. But it is. You have to do it. You have to do it so you know what your salespeople are feeling in those moments, so that then you can help coach them through it.
no, it's great. So let's talk about the second part of that question, which is how do you find them? How do you hire? And you don't have to get to the specific of this role, no, but overall, I think you have built an amazing company, and most likely you have amazing people in your team, and you're constantly hiring, and looking for talent. So what is the number thing that you try to see or break down in a person when you're making the decision to hire, as this is one of the most common mistakes that everybody does in this business, no?
So I use, and that kind of segues me back to the what I was talking about learning how to hire. I read a book called Who by Jeff Smart, WHO, not World Health Organization, but it's called Who by Jeff Smart. I read the book. I actually read the book. It was recommended to me. Funny story. I was we weren't immune a few years ago to like the Great Resignation. We had a few people that were with us for a very long time and say, look, I'm getting a 50% pay raise, and you go, you have to
Wow.
go.
Yeah,
Can't, I
interesting.
can't match it, so you have to go, and we wish you luck, but it hurt. Um, and so I reach out, I'm on the board at my church, and I reach out to my pastor and I say, and they're growing. They were like the sixth fastest growing church in the country for a couple year period there. And I go, you guys are growing, and the hires you've been making have been home runs. What are you doing? And I go, now full disclosure, full disclaimer, like I understand your mission is a little bit higher than what we do here.
Just a little bit. No, it's not that much difference, but
What are you doing? And he tells me, he goes, get this book called Who? And of course, I go, really? And I order the book, and I left it in my desk or something for 6 months. And I go, oh man, okay, what am I? I'm an idiot. I got to go read this book. I read the book, and um, it was literally right when iPhone came out with all the phones where you could scan the text of a book, and it would transcribe it, and you could paste it into something. And I'm reading this book, and it's just a basic kind of strategy on here's how you put the job description together, here's how you put the ad together, here's the questions you want to ask, here is the how you want to phrase the questions. And I'm going page after page and taking out my phone going, oh, that's great. Flip the page. Oh man, that's great too. Take a picture. Oh, that's great too. And I literally took it and typed it all up and made like a cheat sheet. And so I have my staff, and I do it too as well. We go through the who process of job ad creation, interviewing, and it's phenomenal. I mean, the idea that the one takeaway I would say, if it was like a quick takeaway, is references matter. Call the references. If you don't have, and tell them in advance, I absolutely will be calling references in order for you to get this job. So please provide me, 3 people, 4 people, one for each job if you can get it, and call them. And you're going to find out a lot about a person, because you'd think that everyone they would give on the reference sheet is going to be some glowing review. It's not, because they're also humans on the other line, and they kind of feel weird if you can tell if they're BSing you or not. But you find out that in the book it says faint praise is no praise at all. And I loved that, because you start talking to previous employers or previous managers of someone, and you will hear someone go like, man, this guy's a rock star, they're amazing, da da. And then you'll hear other people, on maybe a different candidate, and they're like, yeah, he was good. He wasn't bad. Yeah, he did his job. And you go, okay, I know how to separate the wheat from the chaff here. And it's references. That was a huge takeaway for me.
nice. I love it. We'll put the book link in the description. I just bought it. That's definitely
I don't put
something
any loyalty on that. I wish I got to
that.
call it. I know. I've been hawking his book for a while for him.
There you go. You still have time to give me the affiliate link if you want to create. No, that's a great recommendation, and it's just building a process and following, no? You don't have to improvise when you're hiring, which is what most people do. They just ask random questions. There is no purpose. There is lack of clarity.
Mhm.
So I think having a strong process, and as you said, calling references, it's a must. Will take you long way, no? So let's talk a little bit about and we can focus this you can focus the answer in master franchises or unit franchises. I believe the answer won't be that different, but I want to know what are the key factors that distinguish a successful commercial cleaning business owners, where you see the others that struggle more. No, is there any specific or personality traits or background that you have noticed that make a person more successful in this business than other? You have like amazing exposure to the industry overall. You have 49, I believe, master franchise and thousands of units. So I think you're qualified to answer a question like this. Uh, shine some light with people that are doubting if this business is for me, if this business is not, and for the people that are already 2, 3, 5 years in, that they still doubt themselves if I can make it or not, or why Adam just bought a commercial cleaning franchise a year ago. He's already making more than me. Let's talk about that.
So I mean, I think a lot of it goes back to what I was saying earlier about like drive and hustle. I mean, that I can't underestimate the amount of value that stuff like that has. There are people who you know, it's almost easier to talk about kind of talk about it in tandem and say, if you're coming into any business, whether it's a franchise or you're wanting to start your own, and you're looking to be the boss versus and let me say that as like, you're looking to be the boss persona. You know what I mean? Now, oh, I got the president. My business cards, they say president. I updated my LinkedIn, it says I'm the CEO, but you haven't earned your stripes. That's not going to work. It just, you have to know the business that you're in, and you have to understand that as a whether you're a franchise owner or a startup business, if you're not planning on putting in more hours than all of your employees, don't do it. Work for someone else. Because I can assure you, anyone who's even remotely successful in any business, whether it's cleaning or otherwise, when they started, it was, that you eat, sleep, and breathe your business for a little bit, and you have to. If you're looking for a part-time thing, there's definitely, we have avenues for that with the unit franchise opportunity. But if you're looking to make your unit franchise something where, I was actually just speaking with in our Philadelphia market, we have a unit franchise owner. It's a husband and wife team. They just reached $1 million a year as a unit franchise.
Amazing.
And to start from, and now mind you, how about this? They started as, I believe it was when they originally bought a program 4, which for us is $4,000 a month. So they bought a $48,000 business and now have parlayed that up to $1 million business. You can't tell me that they don't, every day. I mean, I know their whole family's involved. They have their kids involved in the business. The business is putting all their kids through school. You gotta believe it. So I think that's a huge aspect to it. And then, in the franchise world, it really is, I hate to, kind of sound like a broken record, like all the franchises say, but it really is like, follow the system. We have 35 years of doing this. We know what works. We know what doesn't. We're not, at least, I'm sure there are other brands that, maybe are different, but we're not, we're very open to new ideas and experimentation and getting creative. But at the same time, like, there's certain things where it's like, okay, we just, we've tried this. We've tried this 10 times. We've tried it 10 different ways. It's just not going to work. Do it the way we're telling you, because we know it works, and we've done it in 50 markets for 30 plus years. So someone who is driven, someone who wants to hustle, but also someone who, understands the value of the knowledge that's come before them, whether it be in franchising or, going to your local SCORE chapter and getting, advice from the other business folks, or going to a conference or reading a book. There's no you can't put a price tag on the knowledge that you're going to take from someone else that can, put you, 6 months, a year, 5 years ahead of where you should be without that knowledge.
Yeah. So yeah, I never understood why someone would buy a franchise and not follow the process. No, you're buying basically the knowledge. That's what you're buying, the knowledge and the brand. But I think you haven't said it better. Like, people usually when we talk about this topic, they're expecting, like, because this guy come from finance, and this was a sales, and this was a blah blah blah, and this background. But in reality, whoever wins is the one who hustles. No, like knowledge, it's something that will come in any venture, and you will acquire it. But teaching the thrive and the hustle, it's almost impossible. No.
It's
Eh,
it feels like a like a Kobe Bryant cliche, where it's like, what do they say, like hustle out, out wins skill 10 times out of 10. You know what I mean? If you're willing to outwork somebody, that was the story my dad always told me about. He goes, like 7-Eleven, the chain there, they're a franchise also, but when they started, all the drugstores opened at 9 and closed at 9. And so the founder of 7-Eleven said, I'm going to do 7 to 11 instead of 9 to 9. And so I'm going to wake up 2 hours earlier and work 2 hours later, and I'll outwork my competition by 50%.
wow.
And it's and now everybody knows what 7-Eleven is. And so it's the same thought process if you're starting your own business. If you want to start working on your leads and you're starting up a business, you probably should be starting at, you got to join what do they call it? The 5 a.m. club now, they call it, right? Get up
Yeah.
at 5, get your food, get your exercise, start working at 7. And that's not forever, right? I mean, I wake up that early because I do all the exercise and all that sort of stuff, but I'm not, completely focused on my business anymore, like that, where you're just, swallowed by it. Partly because I have 3 kids, 5 and under right now, so I had to pick my priorities. But if you're planning to be a startup, or planning to buy a new franchise, you just have to mentally go, okay, year one is going to be a time where, like, this is what I'm going to be dedicating myself 110% to, and the hours get a little crazy.
Yeah. No, makes sense. And so if you can do it with 3 kids and managing a whole organization, like I think people can definitely take a look at themselves and find a way. If you want to succeed, there is no shortcuts, no. No, I want to be respectful of your time. I know we almost gonna hit the hour, and I have so many more questions. So hopefully we'll have a second part. I just want to wrap it up with a couple of more questions. No, you've been in this industry for a long time, and you have experienced different recessions, challenges, pandemic. Uh, how does the commercial cleaning industry has evolved in the past since you've been involved until now, and what trends people should be aware as a business owner? Where do you see the industry going in the future?
So yeah, no, it's definitely been, I've been through a few recessions on this one. I feel like we always come out stronger. Um, I think that, I mean, the trends you're going to see in this industry are similar to what you're going to see globally. I think number one, there's always going to be a trend toward consolidation. So the customers are looking for companies that can do multi-service. Commercial cleaning is probably the most common, but if you're able to partner with or learn how to add additional service lines, so become more of a facilities maintenance type company, and landscaping, pest control, snow removal, whatever it may be, that makes your company that much stickier, where now a customer has to lose 5 services if they lose you. So I see a trend toward consolidation. Um, I see um, I see obviously the technology is going to be massive. AI, any of that sort of stuff, you have to play in that space because somebody else definitely is if you're not. Um, I don't know if the AI is going to really change anything in terms of having someone physically go in and clean. I know people talk about, like, the robots that do the floors and everything like that, but um, there, there's not going, in my humble opinion at least, there's not going to be, Rosie the robot from the Jetsons that comes in and just that. We're way far off from anything like that ever happening. But what we've done is we've said we need to use technology and AI and leverage that where we can, which is on the customer service side of the business, right? We can all get a hold of the same vacuums and ride-alongs and microfibers and whatever else. But if you can use AI to automate your customer service, speed up, time to resolution, that's some of the stuff that we're focused on. Because at the end of the day, because this business requires that human element no matter what, and humans make mistakes, just periodically because we're only human. Time to resolve that and automate that and getting out in front of your customer as fast as possible and leveraging technology to do it seems to me to be the path forward.
No, I agree. And overall, we talk about a lot about AI, and AI freaks people out. No, AI doesn't have to be the machine cleaning. It's just start using ChatGPT, start using basic stuff that will make you so much better. And most of the industry is not using. So just by spending even 10 minutes a day, it will make a huge impact in the business. No? It's curious that you talk about consolidation and how mostly people should think on how to be more create that stickiness with the client, so they don't have to go to multiple places. Is that something that Anago is considering as a company, like adding other avenues besides cleaning?
So we're partnering with other companies nationally and locally. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't want to say that someone should get out of what they are, their area of expertise. If you can expand your area of expertise, bravo to you. It's a lot harder to do than it is to say it. And so a lot of times it means creating, strategic partnerships and alliances. Because I mean, we're still, my dad used to say, he goes, I'm Colonel Sanders. I just do chicken, I'm not trying to do burgers. I'm not trying to do tacos. And so as much as, our specialty is chicken, our specialty is commercial cleaning, acknowledging that, this is what the ultimate customer is looking for is, a one-stop shop. If you're able to position yourself to be that one-stop shop through, various partnerships, I think there's a lot of value to that.
100%. Before we wrap up, Adam, any final words of wisdom? And feel free to invite people to that are considering venturing into this world, to explore the Anago way, where people can find you online.
Yeah, no, my advice to people looking to get into commercial cleaning would be run. No, I'm kidding. No,
Not forward, not backward.
Yeah, my advice would be, think about a lot of things if you want to get into any business. Think about your time, think about your family, think about what your goals are. And in my opinion, if you're able to map that out and, put pen to paper or, fingers to type, keyboard and type up, something in Excel and put a plan together. I think it's important to put a plan together, and work toward that plan versus just sort of taking it as it may. If you work toward a plan, I think you're going to be, I think they say, like, people who actually write down their goal and are, 80% more likely to actually achieve it than people who just kind of live every day as a day. And I know that's hard in a startup phase. And so it means you're going to have to go back to, your plan every week maybe and go, okay, well, we missed this and got to adjust that. But keep at it, keep tinkering with it, because eventually, you get to a place where, now making a 3-year plan is not unheard of, but actually something you look forward to. Oh man, we're going to be in one heck of an amazing place 3 years from now if we can just, focus on these things. So I would say make a plan and keep changing it until you can stick to it. And then for us, we're everywhere online. We're at anagocleaning.com. That's ANAGO cleaning.com. And then all our social media, we do all of it. Everything is at Anago Cleaning. So Facebook at Anago Cleaning, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, X. I think it's X now. Sorry, X. Sorry, Elon. YouTube. We're everywhere.
No, perfect. Appreciate you, man. Thanks so much for sharing 1 hour with us for the knowledge, and we look forward to having you back in the near future. Thanks, everyone, and we'll be in the next. We'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you for listening to the Cleaning in Motion Show. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. In the meantime, find more resources, including more sales and marketing tactics online at cleaninginmotion.com. That's cleaninginmotion.com. Until next time.